Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to be reviewing the Razer Sabertooth controller for the Xbox 360 and the PC. I'm going to organize this review first by the features of the controller, by the build quality, then by its performance, and finally comparing it to other similar products on the market like a Scuf controller. Alright, first, the features. Razer gives you a carrying case with the controller with everything you need to modulate the controller to your liking. The controller is unique in that it has two top buttons next to the bumpers and the triggers that you can configure to be whatever you want them to be. You have rocker triggers which have 4 additional inputs that you can map to whatever existing button command like an A and B that you want to be. This controller has a very distinctive LED screen that shows you what profile you're set to. So I can set my profile 1 to have different button configurations for my rockers and my bumpers, and I can switch to profile 2 which has different configurations with just one touch. Next, you have rubber thumbstick covers that come with the controller, and you can take off the rocker triggers if you don't want to use them. If you don't want to use them, just put this cover over them. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to program the controller. You tap on the button on the right side of the LED screen and it says program mode. So now if I hold down a rocker button or one of the bumpers, I'm holding down M3 right now and it's set to A, so if I want to change that to B, I just press the B button, the controller will vibrate saying that the command went through, and you've got the bumper set to B. And I'll set it back to A now, so really quick vibration feedback, boom, easy. So after program mode, it goes to test mode, and this is where you can test whether your thumbsticks are accurate or not. So for the left stick, I'm going to test it. It says 0 and 0 for both axes right now, so I pressed it all the way to the left and it says X is negative 100 and Y is 0, so that's reading very accurately. So all the way up it says Y is 100, X is 0, perfect. Upwards, downwards, Y is negative 100, X is 0, perfect readings for my left thumbstick. Okay, I'm going to get out of thumbstick test mode, A to end. Okay, next after test mode is rumble. You can change your rumble settings to on or off, and you can attach this setting to whatever profile you're setting it to. So if you want one profile to have rumble and you can have no rumble on the other profile, you just change the profiles on the fly. And finally, you can change the backlight off. The backlight controller looks really cool. So I got out of the settings mode, and this USB is detachable and it's a braided cable, so very detachable. There's also a quick disconnect where the USB goes into the computer or the Xbox console. The buttons themselves feel mechanical. Mechanical meaning you have one small click before you bottom out the buttons, but the buttons travel distance is very low. It's as low as like a PlayStation controller. This is a PlayStation 1 controller. I'm sorry, I don't own a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 2. PlayStation 1 was the last Sony console I owned. This is a mechanical keyboard for comparison. You'll get a click feedback before you bottom out the key, and the click feedback is where activation of the key begins. So it's a similar process with these buttons, but you'll probably not notice the mechanical feedback just because the travel distance is so short. It feels almost like a touchscreen for a phone. The D-pad is extremely accurate. Again, it's set up like a PlayStation D-pad. I've never made a mistake when using my D-pad input. If you guys remember the Razer Onza Tournament Edition, the last Xbox controller made by Razer, I heard that the back and the start buttons were very awkwardly placed, but now they are placed well enough, and that's pretty good for a Battlefield player because you can still spot enemies with the back button if you want to keep your thumb on the left thumbstick, but you probably could just map the back button to one of the top bumpers instead of having to use the back button to spot people, so you never really have to take control off of your left thumbstick. That's pretty much it for features of this controller. I'm going to put my rubber grip back on, and I'm going to reinstall the rocker trigger because that's how I like to play. Actually, I lied. I have to take off one of the rubber nubs for comparison. The thumbsticks themselves are most comparable to some of the newer Xbox 360 controllers with no ridges along the sides of the thumbsticks. But some of the earlier Xbox 360 controllers do have ridges on their thumbsticks. I don't know whether you can see the ridges really clearly in this lighting, what with a white thumbstick and everything. But this is just a default Xbox 360 controller. I swapped out the buttons and the thumbsticks to whitewash it, but it has little ridges along the thumbstick edge. These don't. So that's why I prefer using the rubber cover. Alright, so for build quality, the quality is solid. The matte finish feels really nice, and it has a Razer logo on the side. In your hand, you feel powerful the instant that you pick it up. It has a little extra space for your, what finger is this? The middle finger to grip along the side of the controller. I still don't think the grip is as cool as the Mad Catz Ghost Recon controller. This has a complete rubberized, almost feels like a pistol grip. And the Mad Catz controller also has programmable buttons on the back of it. And this is a pretty good controller. It has LED light up joysticks, and this is a cool alternative to a Scuf controller or a Mad Catz controller if you want some of the buttons on the back. But I'm digressing. I'll get back to this controller. It doesn't have a good rubberized coating like the Mad Catz controller does, and Scuf Gaming does have an option to add a back rubberized coat to their controller if you so choose. But the build is pretty cool. One thing about Razer products where your mileage may vary is the build quality right out of the box. As soon as I used this controller for 5 hours or so, I noticed that the left extra bumper was a lot more loose than the right side extra bumper already. So, I mean, what's up with that? And also, the left thumbstick makes a squeaking noise right out of the box. I don't know if you can hear that or not. You might have to change the volume settings. But I mean, come on, what's up with that, Razer? Why are you gonna let something that is so beautiful otherwise have like small defects right out of the box? I mean, that's the thing with Razer products. They're very inconsistent in how well built they are. I also have a Razer Death Adder. Some people have said that the Death Adder breaks or whatever, but I don't know. My brother uses it. I don't use it to game with, but my brother plays at least 20 hours of League of Legends a week, and he hasn't had any problems with that. So your construction quality of the product may vary. Alright, now I'm going to talk about in-game performance. There is a little bit of a learning curve to get to use this controller well. I am a very naturally coordinated person. I exercise a lot, and I'm used to gaming controls for all manners of games, and I've come from the Scuf controller, which had the back paddles, and I've also used the Mad Catz controller, which had the back buttons too. And it took me a little while before I stopped accidentally hitting buttons that I didn't want to hit. I have my left side, which is the left side? Yeah, I have my left side rocker set to A, my right side set to B, and my top set to X and Y. It's pretty intuitive because you can think of the top face buttons, X and Y, being across the top of the controller, and the A and B being coordinated with the back rocker triggers. This controller is great for Call of Duty because instead of moving your thumb off the stick to jump, you can just press the back rocker, and the same goes for knifing. You don't have to press the B button, you can just press the back rocker. So now you're going to see some gameplay with this controller. I'm playing on Nuketown 2025 against bots, and aim assist is turned off, so all of the aiming is 100% by me.
Can confirmed. Enemy control. Reloading. Shot out. Threat neutralized. Full control. Shoot her down. EKIA. That's a kill. Transitioning. I'm dry. Dropped him. Kill confirmed.
Lightning strike awaiting coordinates.
Now throughout this gameplay you saw a lot of examples of me jumping around corners while still aiming. That's one of the biggest advantages of the Sabertooth, and I can also knife while maintaining my aim. One of the upcoming examples where I take out a riot shield holder is me jumping around him while still maintaining my aim and then knifing him.
Alright, so now we're going to compare the Razer Sabertooth to the Scuf controller, which I believe is its biggest competitor. The Scuf controller, like I mentioned previously, has these back paddles. One of the biggest advantages the Sabertooth has over the Scuf controller is that you can change what you set the buttons to at any given time. With the Scuf controller, you're pretty much set in stone what the buttons are unless you pay to have them changed. However, the Razer Sabertooth, you can't make any custom mods like to put a outer shell on it. This is the Halo 4 edition of the Scuf controller, so I wouldn't even know where to begin to start to open up this Razer Sabertooth. You also can't put on domed thumbsticks. Like, you see how these are convex instead of the concave Xbox controllers. I think the convex controllers are a little bit better for controlling recoil on your guns. So like, you know, rolling the controller down, and you also have a little bit more elevation. The concave thumbsticks can be good for games like Halo, where you have to snap between targets quickly and you don't have to control for recoil as much. But in games where you control for recoil, I still do prefer the domed aim sticks. The D-pad rotates because this came with the controller. I still think this D-pad is a lot more precise than the Scuf D-pad. I think the Scuf has a little bit less of a learning curve because the shape is the exact same as the regular Xbox 360 controller. But where Scuf falters is its price. To get a custom skin Scuf controller, you're paying over $120 plus shipping, and these take a really long time to make. With Razer Sabertooth, if they're in stock, they ship within 2 days. Or, you know, a lot of them are on back order right now, but when they do have more in stock, they'll ship a lot quicker. With the Scuf controllers, by the time you place your order, it'll probably take longer than 3 weeks to get to you. Even longer if you're sending in your own gamepad for conversion. The cheapest way to get a Scuf controller is to send in your own gamepad for conversion. This MSRP is $80. The Razer Sabertooth certainly isn't going to put Scuf out of business just because Scuf has many options that the Razer Sabertooth can't have, like the domed aim sticks. If you do like Control Freaks, you can use Control Freaks with the Razer Sabertooth. I don't use Control Freaks, but you know, if you do, they're perfectly compatible. But you know, I really like the Razer Sabertooth. It's going to become my main gaming controller. The thing about getting a controller right now, whether you're going for the Scuf or the Razer Sabertooth, is the next Xbox is right around the corner. So we don't know whether the old Xbox 360 controllers are going to be compatible with the new Xbox or not, but if it does use x86 computer architecture like on PCs, then there's no reason why they can't just install a driver that makes our old USB controllers compatible. So I wouldn't let that bother you, but again, this is a very high-end peripheral. I would recommend, if you're looking for an edge in gameplay, to invest your money first into a headset or a gaming monitor, because I think those two things will help your gaming performance a lot more initially than getting a really nice controller would. But if you already have a headset and a nice monitor, then by all means, this controller is a solid purchase. I would give it a B+, and I definitely would buy it again. The B+ score because you know, inconsistent construction across different models. You have the squeaky left joystick, and you know, what's up with that, Razer? And you know, we don't know whether these are going to be compatible with the next Xbox or not. Pricing wise, I have nothing to complain about. This is marketed as a high-end peripheral, and the price fits within that range. It's a lot better than the Madcast MLG controller and $20 cheaper. It's going to compete very strongly with the Scuf controller.
My gut feeling, however, is that more people will enjoy the Razer Sabertooth due to its lower price point and the fact that you can probably get it a lot sooner than the Scuf controller, provided that you find it somewhere that it isn't on back order. Now, if you do like a custom design for your controller and custom aim stick, then the Scuf controller probably would do better. But other than that, I would recommend the Razer Sabertooth. Alright guys, that's my review. Leave a like rating if you enjoyed this video, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next video.